Hi and welcome to the School of Tao. This episode is all about releasing emotional attachment. It's a topic that's really close to my heart, and it's something that really is integral to the process of coming more into your radiant aliveness, into your inner fire, and really drying out any volatility or any sadness, releasing it from the system. Because what happens is we go through our childhood, really we're impressed upon, our auric field is impressed upon as we grow up, we're conditioned, and all of these learnings imprint upon our field, and all of these memories and experiences, because they're emotional, store in our memory. That's why we memorize them. So, anything really where our needs were not being met creates these parts of our energetic field, parts of our consciousness field, where our inner children are created. Parts of our inner child are like frozen in time. And so the work, the healing work, to heal really just means to make whole. So there really is no fixing, there's no breaking. It's just bringing back in these fragmentations, these parts with love, and integrating them into the field of love so they're not repressed or pushed away. Because whatever we avoid, this really is the biggest of the generational wounds, avoidance. Whatever we avoid just inflates and gets bigger, because pain really wants to be known, it wants to be released, and pain is really just there so that we can see the wound. So what we want to do is pay attention to the pains, pay attention to the physical sensations in the body. And what you want to do is to be able to come to this place where you can emotionally disengage from that memory. So we tend to store either memories that are emotionally high, or they're really low and sad, and they've imprinted in this way where we couldn't find resolve when we were children because we didn't know how, we didn't have the tools. So in order to create this distance, we created this part of our consciousness field. And so these parts, these memories, exist as like holographic representations of these frozen children parts that are just going, I want to be heard, I need to be loved, I need to be given that love that I wasn't given when I was young. And by and large, our parents were doing the best job that they could with all of the wounds that they had. So it's with this viewpoint of neutrality and with compassion that we look at all of these parts and these memories, and we start to just give our loving light of attention. So when we bring light to the shadow starts to dissolve in the face of the light. So rather than avoiding, which can sometimes feel like the easier thing to do, it's the more comfortable thing to do for a time, because the comfort very quickly becomes uncomfortable. Because what happens is these child parts will lead your show, the show of your life, rather than your divine nature and essence. This wounded part will be attracting with other wounds so that you can see through your experience what is the wound that needs to be released. What is in your physical body and energetic body that you're seeing through your experience that needs to be released energetically and physically. So the first thing to do is really just to sit and invite in your inner child. And you can do this at any moment, just in a quiet space. Invite in your inner child or children, because mine often appear as either a boy or a girl intermittently and interchangeably. And you can just ask them what they need. You can invite in a visualization, like where are they, what are they doing, and what do they need. It can be very, very simple. And just sitting with the image of what comes through, you can draw it or write it or just exist with it as an image and see what it's showing you, so that you can start to give the child what it needs, what they need, that child part of you, what they need, so that they can come back in, so that they feel nourished and embraced. Because what we want to do, or what we have this inclination to do with other people, is when they're wounded, we want to do anything that we can to give them love and support and make them feel safe. And our inner children need the same thing. And as soon as we give them that love, that's really all they're looking for. As soon as they get the love that they need, like identify what was the way that you needed to be loved that you weren't. Not with any judgment, but just with this objectivity, so that you can then nurture yourself now, parent yourself and love yourself in the way that you needed. And as soon as that part is brought back in love, you'll stop attracting with that experience. And it's incredible. As soon as you change your energetics around anything, then you stop meeting with a reflection of that wound. Like I observed when I released this this pain that I had with not being heard by my mother, I felt like nothing was quick enough, or, you know, as a child I just felt misunderstood. As soon as I released that, I really created instantly this new relationship with my mother, where I was connecting with her as a woman, as a healed woman rather than a wounded child. And so that experience, that re-experiential reality of the wound stopped, and then we could integrate and reform a new relationship in the now without that wound being present. So I was really creating that wound revisitation with my mother to see it and see it and see it until I was able to release it. So this can happen in a number of ways. It can happen powerfully through these visualizations. So you just want to sit and invite in your inner child and visualize where they are and ask what they need. This is the first step. The second step is to identify where it is in your body. Where does that memory and that physical sensation rise in your body? Perhaps you can identify an organ, or, you know, just a place, maybe an energy center if you're familiar with the chakras. But it doesn't matter, there needs no labeling. It's just where in the body, like, is it in your stomach, is it in your bladder, is it in your lungs? Do you feel like you need to take in breath when you think about this memory, or you feel like you're stripped of life force energy when you think about this memory? Does it make your heart contract? Like, just where is it? Are you carrying it on your shoulders? And when you can identify where it is in your body, then you can actually actively invite the body to surrender, to release that feeling connected with that memory. And you can say, I release this from every cell of my body. I'm inviting the surrender from whatever organ it is, or from every place in my body that's holding it, and from every particle of my energy field, over and over until it's clear. And you can do this as often as you feel inclined to do it. It can be a daily practice, it can be a weekly practice, it can be a 10-minute thing that you do in the morning or evening. Our consciousness field is most clear in the morning because we're in the most non-resistant state, because we're still coming through into our conscious, fully conscious state of being. So first thing in the morning is when you're most open and least resistant. So it can be an amazing thing to write, like dialogue with your inner child. Just sit with your inner child, write a stream of consciousness, or just be with your body and identify where those sensations are rising. Then the third thing is to emotionally disengage this feeling or memory and sensation. You have to admit that it exists. So when you admit that it exists, then you're giving it this light, you're giving it your love, you're not judging it, you're not bringing any judgment, and you're not implying any narrative or associating a narrative with the feeling. It's just, where is the sensation in my body, and can I just sit and be with that objectively? Like, look at it, be witness to it. Then you can start to use these particular points on your body to emotionally freedom tap. So whenever you're in the feeling, you can either just be in the feeling and tap to disengage the emotionality or to release the emotional attachment, or you can explicitly state or write whatever it is that you honestly feel. And then you can say that I release emotional attachment to that, and state whatever it is that you're really aware that you're emotionally attached to. Either the memory or the feeling that it's producing, whether it's disgust or it's repulsion or it's fury, it's anger, it's deep grief. Just honestly, radically honestly, what is that feeling? And then for as many cycles as you feel like you need to bring respite and restoration to your beautiful nervous system, you can use these tapping points on the Chinese meridians. So you can start, and you want to do a minimum of 7 taps, and you want to do it on both sides of your body. So the karate chop on the side of your hand, the top of your head, like on your crown, point at the ends of your eyebrows, your temples, your cheekbones, the top of your lip, beneath your lip, lower lip, on your beautiful collarbones, This is an amazing point for releasing sadness. So if ever you feel just in floods of tears whilst you're in the feeling and whilst you're releasing tears, you can disengage the emotionality by tapping on this point. And then underneath your armpits, about 4 centimetres, 4 inches beneath. But you'll feel it. It's kind of to the side of your breasts or your chest. And it's on the kind of bony bit, like at the top of your ribs, really. So these are the emotional freedom tapping points, and I'll leave actually the connections between the different points and how they correspond with different organs below. So if you want to look at the notes on that, you can. And you can repeat that cycle, do a minimum of 3 cycles, but anything up to 11, or sometimes even in high and deep intense emotion, I have tapped for like an hour at a time. And it really brings a soothing restoration to the nervous system, and you can feel it almost instantly, or you can just tap until you start to feel the sensation dissipate. And I recommend doing this as often as possible, like maybe a few times a week at least, just so that you can start to, without you don't want it to feel tiring, you want it to feel releasing. So just carving out these moments where you feel like you can surrender and really dedicate time to your inner child, because when you do, it will start to create powerful energetic shifts in your reality, and you'll start to notice all of your relationships changing as well. So you'll start to attract less from the wound and more from this place of your divinity and truth of your heart. And the other thing I want to talk about just lastly is resistance, because usually what happens is these wounded parts of us create resistance. They create this tension between your divinity, your truth, your pure and radiant and infinite heart that is completely fearless, and your child part that's wounded, and this creates the resistance because the child part of you or children part of you that are wounded are trying to pull you back into safety because they're fearful of feeling that pain again. They're just trying to actually be protective and keep you safe. So you want to give them so much love and nourishment that they feel safe in order for you to go into your full divine expression, so that they create no resistance, so that all parts of you are on board and going in the same direction. So when it comes to resistance, we have this kind of triangularity. We have you, we have the situation, which will be connected with everything that you feel around your present situation and also your desires for your life and your future, and then the tension or the resistance that exists that is preventing you from going forward on your path, the path that you know that you're here for. So I use this beautiful divination technique, and I invite you to explore it. It can be really revelatory, and it can really tune you in quickly to your intuition, your intuitive guidance when it comes to reducing the resistance, seeing what the obstacle is, because there will be a limiting belief always behind the thing that is the tension. So where there's resistance, there's a belief that's limiting you, that's trying to keep you safe, that's connected to these wounded children or child parts. So I always draw this triangle, and so I have me at the top, then to the side the situation, and then to the other side I have the tension or the resistance. And if you want to also in the center do what's needed in order to dissolve the resistance, this is a beautiful thing to do as well, like in the epicenter of the triangle. So then you can use my magical oracle soup bowl that I've crafted, and you can message me directly for the PDF of all the words if you want to use this oracle soup, soul soup. And then just pick from the bowl of words the words for each of the points on the triangle, and this will give you more information to intuitively tap into, to see what the resistance is and to see how to resolve it, to see what the situation is or where you'd like to go and be, and then how you are contributing to this resistance. And this ritual, if you like, this magical ritual brings more attention to the situation, to the resistance, which lessens the resistance. So whatever we bring the light to dissolves into the light. So if you have a fear or a resistance or a feeling, just allowing it to exist allows that feeling to flow freely, and it allows for release too. So there we go. Releasing emotional attachment. It's just like the most crucial part of healing, I feel, because as soon as the feeling is detached from the memory, then you're not recreating it in your reality. So whilst you want to create the ecstasies, recreate and perpetuate the ecstasies and the pleasures and the memories that have really beautiful, high and gorgeous feelings in your body, what you want to disengage are the ones that don't. So you don't have to keep on going through those pains in cycles and cycles over and over again. So ask me any questions in the comments below. Let me know how you get on with this, and message me if you would like the magical oracle soup, or it's also available on my website, taoeternity.com. I'll put that below as well. Sending you so much love.